Avery's Analysis with your host, me, Avery Fair. Today we'll be analyzing a haunting American classic, The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. The Bell Jar closely corresponds with Plath's real-life events, while the main character, Esther Greenwood, resembles Plath herself. In the novel, Plath touches on the subject regarding mental health care. Esther is treated for her sudden feelings of depression and lack of eating and sleeping habits. She's taken to a psychiatrist, Dr. Gordon, who performs electric shock therapy. In the book, page 143, Esther describes the shock therapy. She says, "And with each flash of great jolt drubbed me till I thought my bones would break and the sap fly out of me like a split plant." So clearly the shock therapy is hurting her and isn't really helping her at the beginning. Later, after she has the shock therapy, she's experiencing many suicidal thoughts. For example, at first, on page 147, she says, "When they asked some old Roman philosopher or other how he wanted to die, he said he would open his veins in a warm bath. I thought it'd be easy, lying in the tub and seeing the redness flower from my wrists." So clearly, her first thought of suicide is she's getting very fascinated with cutting her wrists, and she feels as though it would be such a somewhat peaceful way to just lay back in the tub and just let life just slip away from her. Later on, she has another thought of suicide. She just, on 157, just exclaims, she's swimming in the ocean, she says, "I thought drowning might be the kindest way to die." And I think this means that surrounded with all the water and everything, it would be calming, it would also be peaceful, just as the water rushing around her. It wouldn't be anything dramatic or, just hard. It would just be easy on her. Finally, she does actually attempt to try to kill herself. On page 158, she just bluntly states, "That morning I tried to hang myself." She also states, "But each time I would get the cord so tight I could feel a rushing in my ears and a flush of blood in my face. My hands would weaken and let go, and I would be all right again." So I think even though Esther is trying to kill herself, her body is subconsciously not letting her, and so when she tried hanging herself or just pulling the cord so she would suffocate, her brain was sending messages to tell her to stop even though she wanted to continue. Finally, she tries again to kill herself, this time by drowning. She states, "The only thing to do was to drown myself then and there. I dived and dived again, and each time popped up like a cork." So again, she's trying to kill herself, but her body is just not letting her. She tries to just sink to the bottom of the ocean, but when she gets closer and closer to being subconscious and losing consciousness, her body comes back up to get air. So clearly her body's just telling her that they're protecting themselves, even though she wants to die. Finally, in one of her closest attempts to kill herself, she goes and takes 50 sleeping pills and goes and crawls underneath the cold space, and she pops all the pills, and she tries to die that way. She states, "At first nothing happened, but as I approached the bottom of the bottle, red and blue lights began to flash before my eyes. The bottle slipped from my fingers, and I lay down." Esther later on falls asleep, but regains consciousness in the hospital, and she's all better. Thus, proving that the shock therapy performed by Dr. Gordon was more degenerative than curative. I looked up in Webster's dictionary, a bell jar is a piece of laboratory equipment used for creating vacuums. In Esther and Plath's case in the bell jar, that bell jar is more of a metaphor which creates a wall or vacuum of madness over them. She's trapped inside this bell jar, and the electric shock therapy isn't helping her escape her bell jar, it's consuming her more. On the fact that Esther starts getting more depressed and having all these suicidal thoughts on her life, i.e. drowning, cutting, hanging, and taking all the pills to try and kill herself. So that does it for the bell jar. Join us next week as I analyze the new book that's sweeping the nation, The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. We'll dwell deeper into the meaning of "May the odds be ever in your favor." Until then, this has been another episode of Avery's Analysis. Thank you, everyone, and good night.